each one of those, I should have a laser pointer or something, but each one of those pads there corresponds to the actual hardware that I have set up. Oh, camera. I'll get the hang of this eventually. So, yeah, I'm just going to remember not to move launch pads. I'm just used to holding them up. Okay, so that there corresponds to that there, and this here corresponds to this here. And so what my app lets you do is drop a whole bunch of sounds onto the pads where you want them to be, and then you can just trigger them. And you know what we didn't plug in? Was the sound. We didn't plug in the sound. Oh my gosh.
There's a better one here.
Oh, okay.
It's a better looking cable, so I don't know if that's your cable.
So what I was just doing there was just good old-fashioned triggering of sounds. But what my app lets you do is lock things to a tempo, so you can just and then you can loop it. And then you can just add more and more sounds on top. These two launch pads are completely independent of each other. So that means that I can be playing one thing over here and then something completely different on the other launch pad and won't affect the first one. So that's the app. So what I'm going to do now is show you some of the Web Audio API and how you can take a blank text file and make it make sounds using a web browser. So, oh yeah, that's details if you're interested in my app. Anyone check it out? Right, so the Web Audio API is I don't know if any of you were here in the last talk, but it was mentioned very briefly. And so that's what I'm using for all of the audio generation in this app. And this here is available in every single modern web browser. And if you run that code, you get access to this amazing object which lets you just create sounds. So this code here, if I run it, no?
Can you do that in the web audio?
It's really unstable at the moment, so it's just all these strange glitches. I don't know, I'm probably going to just have to play music for you because this demo doesn't seem to be working. Let's see if there's anything in the console. No, it's not even loading. There we go. Right. So it's very easy to make sounds in the Web Audio API, but to actually make them sound good takes a lot of sort of random code. So, as far as what's actually going on in this example, this is the main piece here. I'm creating an oscillator, which for those who aren't familiar with the term, it's basically moving the speakers like this at different rates. So this particular oscillator is moving the speakers at 440 times a second. I don't remember. I can't remember if it's 440 backwards and forwards or not, but it's a lot of times. So if I change that to be 220, it's a lower sound, or I can take it right down to like 10, and you should actually be able to hear the individual pulses. So that's actually the speaker going 10 times a second. So the API gives you a whole bunch of stuff to process oscillators. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can use the WebAudio API, but for music, which is what I'm talking about here, most of it starts with an oscillator, which you then process in an interesting way. So the first thing I'm doing here, to make this sound not sound ridiculously terrible, is to put a slight fade in on the beginning of the sound. So, it still sounds pretty bad, but it's just softened the initial blow instead of it being a hard hit. Like, let's get rid of that. Just get rid of that too. It's now instead. You hear that? And then I can do it to the end as well. And now it almost sounds musical. So this API is pretty low level. You just have to write a whole bunch of code and trigger it to get anything that sounds remotely musical. And that is basically what my app is doing. It's just all this, and a whole bunch of modules that all link together with other modules on top that trigger those things and other things on top of that, which hook out to that. And it's just this huge, like, weird, interconnected weirdness. And eventually you get... all that. Right, so... I'm just going to get rid of all this crap. Right, so down here I've got a function that accepts a bunch of parameters, a pitch, the waveform shape, the attack, which is just like that parameter I said to start, like how long to play in the beginning of the sound, the time to play the sound, and how long to play the sound for. So now if I run this code with that, so that's pretty cool. That was really easy, right? Like, this is, what you're seeing here on the screen is all of the code that you need to generate that sound that you just heard, minus that. Oops, that. So you could just like copy that into the console in Chrome or Firefox or whatever, and it would play just like that, which I think is pretty cool. But we can go one step further than that in this demo. And I found a MIDI file on the internet, which looks like this. And I passed it out using this script here. It's a terrible script. Don't even read it. Like, don't even try and understand what's going on here. But the important part is I'm using this module from NPM called MIDI file parser. So this is just a little node script that I've written. And it dumps the MIDI file out as a JSON file, which looks like, oops, no, like this. So what that is just a whole bunch of these calls here. And then I'm just going to require the file, run a for each, and apply that to my function up the top here. And let's see what happens. at least pirating music with a web audio API. To be fair, that is in the open domain. Right. Now, the Web MIDI API is something that was just released about, I think it was on like the day before CampJ's. Before that, it was in like, you know, Beta Chrome and Dead Chrome, and then it's been behind the flag for about a year. So I've been messing around with it for quite a while now. And I built my entire app using sounds. I don't know, wait, I didn't know what that sound was. Oh, right, I liked it.
Sounded good.
So someone followed me. Okay. Anyway, so that was the Web MIDI API you just saw there. So these pads here, they are just MIDI devices. They're just like a MIDI keyboard or whatever, and I don't know if everyone here knows what MIDI is. It's different to what I did just before, which is a MIDI file. They're related, but completely unrelated now as far as, you know, technology is concerned. They originally were the same protocol, and one was a way of storing it in a file, but as far as things are concerned now, nobody uses MIDI files for anything, but a ton of electronic artists and whatever are still using the protocol MIDI, but it's now going over a USB cable. And what it is it's just a way of sending messages between multiple musical instruments. So you can have a keyboard over here, which is triggering the sounds of another device, or you can have a sequencer that is triggering the sounds on a synthesizer, or anything like that. These days, well, actually, originally, not originally, for quite a while, people were using their computer as a sequencer because computers couldn't actually generate very good sounds, or any sounds, and they would use that as a sequencer for all of their fancy musical instruments. So they would connect up all of their synthesizers and their drum machines and their samplers to their computer, and then hit play, and then this entire orchestra of electronic instruments would just start playing, controlled by the computer. But now it's kind of completely flipped around, and instead we're using MIDI controllers to tell the computer what to play. And actually what inspired my app a lot was that I didn't think we'd gone far enough with that. So I wanted to build an app that actually lets you feel like you're playing an instrument. Kind of like when the guitarist gets his guitar out and just jam, just play, and someone else comes along with drum kit. They can just really just feel it. They don't actually have to think about anything they're doing. And I wanted to embrace that philosophy with computer music as well. So that's what's inspired this app. And if anyone's used Ableton Live, you've probably noticed that I'm doing things quite differently in the way that I'm triggering sounds. Anyway, that's besides the point. Web MIDI is what I'm using to be able to connect to these pads directly out of Chrome. So, I'm going to kill my app, and then I'm going to show you how you can connect to launchpads or any other MIDI device. So, yeah, this is the new API. It works. It's kind of not my thing. It's got promises and stuff, and yeah, it works all right. So you've got this magical object here called request MIDI access, which you do a promising thing on it. I don't even know what this word does. Does anyone know what beam does? No, I'm just kidding. No, right, yeah. Okay, so you get this MIDI object, and then it's got this weird ES6 mappy thing. I don't even know what it is, but you'd have to iterate over it using of. So I don't even know. But anyway, I loop over this array until I find something called launchpad MIDI, and then I return that item. And so I end up with an input and an output that connects to my launchpad. So now when I run this, okay, so sorry. Can you see the lights on the screen there? Yeah. Okay, so keep an eye on this launch pad here. When I run this code, I'm sorry. Oh, thanks. Oh, that would have been. Oh, you're a hero. Yes, that would have sucked. Right. So the lights on that should all just disappear in a second that it runs, which is not running. There's an error. I probably commented out something I should have done. Ah, well, I just did it. Okay, so all the lights just turned off in that launch pad there. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was triggered by me sending this message here, which is just a magic message that turns the lights off on the launch pad, so no one really cares about that. But it proves there's a connection, right? So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to listen for all messages coming from the pad here, and then I'm going to send the same message straight back at it. And what that means is that it'll light the lights up when I push things. See that? So that's because I'm sending the message back. And then I'm using some clever code here to figure out like what MIDI note that actually was that I pushed. And then I'm going to send that to my play note function, which I commented out. I knew I needed it for something.